Are you lonely? Why is that? And why are there certain things that Gen Z is saying you can't say to them? We're going to get into it. Let's get it. Welcome. First of all, welcome. This is Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, here to lead the conversation in important events and topics that are shaping today's society. Join the conversation and follow us wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for our video podcasts and YouTube exclusive content. Rate, review, like, comment, share. Share with your friends, share with your family, hell, even share with your enemies. On today's episode, it's the Sibling Happy Hour. I'm here with my sis, Jay Andrea. We're going to be dilly-dadding a little bit, and then we're going to be talking about this epidemic of loneliness that's spreading across not just the nation, but the world. And then we're going to be talking about Gen Z versus everybody. But that's enough of the intro. Let's get to the show. What up, sis?
What up, brother?
I can call it. All right. So I got a couple of things I need to get off my chest.
Okay.
Somebody literally asked me a couple of days ago, hey, where can I find the YouTube exclusive stuff?
What?
Yes. Somebody literally asked me, hey, where can I find the YouTube exclusive stuff?
YouTube.
I looked him dead in the face and I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know where I can find it. Said it's right there in the words that you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, but where can I find the YouTube exclusive stuff? On YouTube.
On YouTube.
Oh, well, how can I get to it? I mean, we got a whole website. Y'all have a website? Yeah.
You can also subscribe and follow us on YouTube.
Yep. You could do all of that.
That's also a thing that you can do.
So this person contacted me. He was like, oh, I found it. I was like, yeah, because there's a whole playlist that says YouTube made it a podcast that's on YouTube. So YouTube, you can listen and watch podcasts on YouTube. So our podcast is already on YouTube.
Right.
YouTube labeled our YouTube exclusive stuff as another podcast. And I was like, you know
Lord.
what? I'm going to just roll with it.
Just, hey, we here.
We're here. And I looked up on there because I was like, how many YouTube exclusives have we done? It's 40. There's over 400 minutes of content on our YouTube channel. Exclusively
on YouTube.
On YouTube. That's like almost 8 hours worth of content. It probably is equivalent to 8 hours because I'm saying roughly 400 because it's 40. And sometimes some of them are like 20 minutes long. So I was like, wow, we pump out a lot of content.
Yeah.
Content that you didn't ask to pump out.
Listen, I got to question the people you surround yourself with.
Hold on. No. This was somebody who listens to this. This isn't somebody like I know personally.
Oh, okay. What?
Yeah, no, this was somebody that DM'd me.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. It was somebody that DM'd me. But I do have somebody who contacted me personally and said this. I really like your podcast. I watch it every day on TikTok. I said, huh?
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't get our podcast on TikTok.
No.
Yeah, no, I watch it every day. No.
No.
What you're watching is a minute clip, a minute TikTok from a 60-minute show.
Who has a 1 minute podcast?
That's random, that are just random.
Collections of thoughts.
Yeah,
usually the clips kind of start in the middle of a thought.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not cohesive. Like, it's not a full show. I guess you could do a podcast in 1 minute, but
I don't know what it would be.
I don't know what it would be. It would have to be very tightly structured. It wouldn't just be us starting in the middle of a thought, not finishing it. You don't watch our show every day.
Yes. I was like,
watch clips.
That's not the podcast that is 1 minute of
Yeah.
a 60-minute, sometimes 60-minute plus show.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Because then they said, you and your sister should argue more. Y'all agree on too much. And I was like, if you watch the
If you
podcast,
watch the show.
yeah, we don't all, I mean, we do
don't.
tend to agree the majority of the time.
Yeah, I mean, we have very similar values and beliefs, but there are some times where you'll put forth something and I'll be like, I don't agree with that. Or sometimes I'll say something, you'd be like, no, that's dead wrong. So it's like, like I mean, that's the whole dynamic. That's it. That's the show.
That's the show. I was like, me and her get into it. Matter of fact, there's been a couple of times we've gotten into it that other people were like, are y'all okay? And they're like, yeah, we're fine.
Yeah,
that's
fine. We're siblings, y'all. We're fine.
I threw a cup at her head and it bounced across the room, and she still loved
it. It didn't go that far.
It bounced across the room.
Okay, well,
I can't say it's just people contacting me that's dumb, because I did something dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, not in a drunken stupor, but in kind of like a buzz stupor. I broke the case to my iPhone. The case is it surrounds the entire phone.
Yeah.
But the part that covers the actual touching part of your phone, the part that you watch, is tempered glass.
Oh.
Crack that bad boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, how bad is it cracked? So I was taking the protective piece apart and cracked it even more. I was like, oh, this is real glass. I thought this wasn't real glass.
No, it's real glass.
Yeah, it's real glass. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, okay, it should be fine. And then started using my phone, and I was like, nope, this piece of glass has been stuck on my finger. Got to order a new one.
Yeah.
So in that late night haze that I ordered, probably like 11:30, literally before the lights are about to go off.
Mm-hmm.
No, the lights are off. Literally before I'm about to turn off my phone. Well, get off my phone. Yeah. I order a replacement.
Yeah.
Replacement's supposed to be here at my place 7 a.m., 11 a.m. It's 2:11 a.m. I'm like, bet. I won't like cut up my finger. This is all good.
Yeah.
Woke up this morning. It had been delivered to another address.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is the second time over a span of 4 or 5 months that I've done something like this. When I was in Atlanta for New Year's, I ordered a whole bunch of stuff from GoPuff. Mm-hmm. And was mad, like, why haven't they delivered it yet? And I checked my phone and they had absolutely delivered it to my place in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
It would help if we didn't have 17 addresses, but I don't want to say too much because I don't think we're really supposed to be sharing an Amazon account. So
I don't think it's a problem.
I don't think it's a problem either.
I don't think it's a problem. But so the person you sent it to thought they had reached out to you to let you know that they got it. No, because they reached out to your namesake and then called me and was like, I feel so dumb. I reached out to the wrong one. So, but
for those that don't know, I'm a junior, so that means this person reached out to my father.
Yes.
And we look almost like twins. So even if you just click on the profile, you're like, yeah, that's Bruce. No, that's not me. That person is 20 plus years older than me, but he's aging well, and I'm aging as I'm aging. So I guess it's an easy stage.
But I will return your package to Amazon.
Yeah, please return that to Amazon. I ordered a new one, so I think it's downstairs right now. So when I'm done with this, I go downstairs. I do believe
I got the notification that it was delivered.
Well, I got a bunch of stuff being delivered today because I needed some body wash, some toothpaste, and some mouthwash. All stuff that are essential.
Yeah, and so we're not doing the Amazon. Is there an Amazon boycott? Because you was like, I ain't going to the store. I'm going to just go order this on Amazon.
While we boycott, look, I told you, like, I can boycott a lot, but Amazon is where I draw the line. It's too much. Amazon is too important to my life. I'm not going to cut out Michael Jackson. I'm not going to stop listening to Bad Boy, and I'm not going to stop listening to Amazon. Okay. I mean, I'm using Amazon. So
Yeah.
Yes. No, I'm
Okay.
still using Amazon. He ain't even really tied to Amazon like that no more.
No, and Amazon actually has they're threatening or they're actually gonna do it, I don't know.
No, they
Show
reneged.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Ah,
Ladies and gentlemen,
boo.
what we were about to talk about is Amazon was about to show the tariff, the reason why the price increases and the direct correlation with tariffs.
Yeah.
And the administration threw a fit and Amazon backed down. He called Jeffrey personally
Mm-hmm.
and they backed down. So
Yeah.
yeah, no. But no, I'm not gonna boycott.
I wish they had done it. I wish they had done it. But
Yeah, I mean, I wish they hadn't backed down, but they backed
yeah.
down. You know, there's one thing that I can say about a certain population in this country. They soft as hell. They like to
Mm,
claim that they're strong, but they
mhm.
are soft. They will bend to the knee. Where other
Yeah.
people in this country from different walks of life will never bend to the knee. Well,
No.
generally speaking, there are certain elements of that population. I'm talking about us. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm talking about us. There are certain people in our population that will bend to the knee. In case in point, blacks for Trump.
You're right. Right.
So
Yeah.
they will.
Well, they lost. That's all. They're just lost and I hope they find their way home.
Okay, but I don't think they will. But no,
Stacey
Amazon,
Dash found her way back.
did she?
I think so.
Well, that's good because she's still fine, and I want to be a fan of hers again. I hate when I can't be fans of fine women.
Yeah, she did apologize for her past support of Trump. So
Okay,
and
all
her
right.
offensive comments. So that was a couple years ago. So as far as I can tell, she found her way back.
She found her way back.
Yeah.
Okay. All
It's
right.
possible, y'all. Y'all can come back.
Well, Roscoe is barking, ladies and gentlemen, because
Yes. Oh yeah. And because I was gonna put him outside, and someone promised
mhm,
that they would watch him
right,
and
and
that it
that
would be
person
okay.
opened the door because I heard the charm go off, and I say it all the time. I say it all the time. This person that we are talking about is specifically trying to sabotage the show because every time that we're recording or doing something,
Yeah.
they somehow interrupt the recording. Love this person with all of my heart. Would give my life with her. Is the only person I would actually go to jail for.
Yeah.
But is consistently sabotaging the recording of this show.
It's my fault. I should have gone with my instinct and put him outside. But
It's
you know,
comedic. It's
you live and you
comedic though.
learn.
It's comedic with the timing. Like every time. Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all watch the behind the scenes or pay attention to the after hours, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because I don't cut that out. I leave it in the behind the scenes, which, by the way, on the YouTube show, if you finish watching all the way to the end, as soon as I say I'll holler, there's a whole segment behind the scenes. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 minutes of us being raw and uncut. Y'all should check that out too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're a little self-involved here, but you finished your second semester of grad school.
Yes. I am exhausted after we finish TAFEN. I'm going back to sleep.
Oh Lord Jesus. Okay.
And I'm just planning on sleeping for the rest of the week. I'm very, very tired. My grades are starting to roll in. They're A's, so I'm
course
happy.
they are. Of course they are.
Yeah. I mean, naturally. So as those continue to roll in, but I got to participate and in some really good final projects, including building an AI-powered resume generator. Like it was like that's probably the coolest thing I've done so far. So, I'm very, very happy about how this semester went. I'm very tired, so that's all I can say about that.
You better get you a poppy soft drink and put some caffeine into something. By the way, I'm a huge fan of poppy.
What is poppy?
Poppy is the probiotic soft drinks.
Oh, Olipop.
Nah, Olipop. I don't know. I didn't hear the Ollie in there. I just see Poppy. Poppi.
It's like there's like it's a classic grape and apple. It looks like an old school kind of can.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, well, Olipop is the probiotic soda that I like.
Oh, well, how much is Olipop? Because Poppy is kind of expensive.
Olipop is, I think it's like $2.
Yeah,
$2.50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know where I found?
Oh, I see. Olipop versus Poppy. Okay.
Yeah. Poppy. Well, I like Poppy because I love it when they call me Big Papa.
Okay.
It's true. No, but I got my little Poppy grape. It tastes like Welch's grape with a little bit of tequila in there.
Yeah.
It's good. It's settling in my stomach. I feel good because I just had some chicken wings and it was a little iffy because it was Cajun.
Okay, so Olipop is a blend of plant-based fibers and botanicals. Poppy emphasizes apple cider vinegar for prebiotics. So they are different.
Yeah.
But they're gonna keep you regular. They're both gonna do that.
And look, as you get older, ladies and gentlemen, this is disgusting. But as you get older, ladies and gentlemen,
listen, regularity
is the key.
Becomes important.
I know a person one time thought they was having a heart attack. They just needed to fart.
Moving on.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into loneliness next. Jay, you laughed when I brought this up, and I was like, I want to talk about this. Mm-hmm. You didn't realize it was an epidemic, did you?
Like an actual, like, real epidemic? No. Like, figuratively an epidemic? Yeah, I knew that.
No,
Muggs is out here lonely.
Right. No, but it's literally an epidemic. So the U.S. Surgeon General and the World Health Organization have declared loneliness and social isolation a public health epidemic affecting people of all ages and backgrounds. Loneliness is the distressing feeling from perceived isolation or unmet social needs, distant from simply being alone. So what does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? And how did this become an epidemic? Well, nearly 1 in 2 adults in the U.S., 1 in 2, so 50%, have reported experienced loneliness, making it as widespread as smoking, diabetes, and or anxiety.
Yeah. I didn't know if you got lost or
no, I just wanted it was a
very dramatic pause.
Yeah, it was a dramatic pause. A dramatic pause. In 2024, about 2 in 5 Americans said they deal with loneliness sometimes, usually, or all the time. Hold on. So 40% of the population said they deal with it sometimes, or usually, or all the time.
Yes.
30% of adults feel loneliness at least once a week. 10% say they are lonely every day. Young adults 18 to 34 are especially affected, with 34% reporting loneliness every day or several times a week.
That's
now,
crazy.
when I read out those statistics and I give you those statistics, can you see why organizations like the World Health Organization and the U.S. Surgeon General is saying, no, this is an epidemic?
Yeah, because, I mean, feelings, it's different from being alone. Loneliness, is like, I don't want to say it's like a mental health condition, but it definitely affects your mental health. And what's that going to do? That's a chain reaction to affecting your physical health as well.
We're going to get into that. But I remember a friend telling me, with tears in her eyes, she says, I know I'm not alone, but I feel alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if you opened up to talk to people a little bit more, then it probably wouldn't feel alone. If you wasn't so closed off that you probably wouldn't feel alone. It sounds like to me that you need to take some therapy, talk to a therapist about your situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, loneliness is not the same as being alone. I had to tell people, there are people sometimes, because The last couple of years has been a little different, but for the most part, over the last, I don't know, 7, 8 years, basically ever since y'all moved down to Atlanta,
Mhm,
I've spent Christmas and Thanksgiving by myself. I like it that way. My
mhm.
parents are not together anymore. I'm not going to split between them. It's a hassle. So I see them beforehand and leave the day to myself. It's typically a day that I plan out on Thanksgiving or Christmas. I drink a bottle of Crown Royal or bourbon.
He didn't mean the whole bottle, y'all.
Sometimes, one time I did drink the whole bottle.
Damn
I drank,
it.
I
I'm
drank from
really trying to
12.
make the
I,
sound
but
not
that was
as
the goal,
bad.
though. No, it was a goal. I drank from 12 in the afternoon to 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And actually, if you think about it, there's only so many shots that are in the bottle. And when you're mixing it with a mixer, it's somebody who's 6'4", 250 pounds can easily do that and feel fine, especially if they're eating heavy food like Thanksgiving or Christmas food. Stop giving me that look. Okay. I just wanted to do it anyway.
Okay.
So I remember telling people, and they're like, "Oh, that's so sad that you're gonna be feeling lonely." I was like, "No, the hell I'm not." I
Yeah.
was like, being alone and feeling lonely are two different things. I crave being alone. I'm not
Yeah.
lonely.
So loneliness is a feeling
Yeah,
of disconnection,
right.
right? Being alone is just I'm physically by myself.
Yeah,
A lot of times people choose to be physically by themselves. Very rarely, if ever, probably never, do people choose to feel disconnected. And that's the thing, the difference between, okay, I might be alone physically, but not be lonely. I might be surrounded by people physically and be incredibly lonely. So they're not one and the same at all, but they often get conflated. Just because I'm by myself doesn't mean I'm lonely. I could be surrounded by people and feel completely unseen or disconnected.
yeah. So you brought up the health risk factors. What are
Mhm.
the health risk consequences? Loneliness increases the risk of premature death by 26%.
Yeah.
And social isolation by 29%. The health
Jesus.
impact is equivalent to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day, greater than the risk from obesity or physical inactivity.
Mm.
Associated with a 29% increase in the risk of heart disease, a 32% increased risk of stroke, and a 50% greater chance of developing dementia among older individuals. This is all linked to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and even suicide. So when somebody is telling you they feel lonely,
Yeah.
pay attention to them, because if you think you would comment on somebody who's smoking 15 cigarettes a day, you would comment on somebody gorging on food, constantly gaining weight, and
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, yo, your diabetes, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, all that's going to go up. Are you okay? Do you need some help?" When somebody says that they are lonely, not
Mhm.
alone, lonely, it's a big issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are
Uh,
the? Go ahead.
it from because I had a chance to go through the U.S. Surgeon General's report. It is out there. It's about 82 pages. If you want the internet to read it to you, you can. So, but it is out there. But social isolation, they were saying, also it impairs your immune function, right? Because you're not out there around people building up immunities to things.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you more vulnerable to infections and slower recovery from illnesses. I mean, there's you don't think about it, but there is like a chronic stress associated with loneliness and social isolation.
Yeah, because it's a feeling, just like anxiety.
Mhm.
Overwhelming anxiety can lead to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease. Like, loneliness is a feeling and affects people the same way. So parents, when your kids say to you, they might not even know, they might not say loneliness. They might say they feel alone, which
Yeah.
is equivalent if you can't contextualize the difference between being alone and loneliness. They might say, "I feel alone," which means the majority of the time they feel loneliness.
Yeah.
That's not something to say, well, go out there and make some friends. That's not helping them.
Yeah, because they may have them, but it's
Yes.
they may have plenty of friends or close friends, but it's still that feeling of isolation, that feeling of I'm not connected to anyone in any meaningful way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what causes the depression, the anxiety, those feelings of social isolation. And I it was funny that you mentioned like the issues about cognitive decline and dementia. Yeah, you can't just be by yourself talking to yourself. Now, I have some good conversations
I've been having some dope conversations with
with
myself.
myself.
Yeah.
But no, you need interaction to stimulate your brain and stimulate your mind. You need to have, deep conversations with people. You need to interact with people, and that can help reduce the risk of cognitive decline and dementia.
Yeah. People out here not doing Sudoku. You in your bed playing Sudoku is not going to get it done.
It's
Okay.
not enough. It's
It's
not
not
enough.
enough. All right. So for those people out there that are saying, those are other people's problems. That's their problems. It has nothing to do with me. Okay, let me explain to you how it does. There are economic and social costs to loneliness. Loneliness costs U.S. employers an estimated 154 billion annually due to stress-related absenteeism, job turnover, and reduced productivity.
Mhm.
Social isolation among older adults alone leads to 6.7 billion in excess Medicare spending each year.
Yeah.
Lower academic achievement and worse performance at work also are linked to loneliness and isolation.
Mhm.
So some of those kids that are struggling in school, they're not dumb.
No.
Some of them. I'm learning as I became an adult. No, some of them are absolutely dumb. But some of them are not dumb. They just feel lonely.
Yeah.
They
And
feel alone.
and when you get to a point where you feel so disconnected from the world around you, you start to lose the importance of work, school, relationships, social networks, things like that. You start to you lose that feeling of like these things are important. I need to focus on these things because the depression is so severe. The stress is so severe. I'm sure you get higher rates of burnout because you don't have that social outlet of people you can go and talk to after work at happy hour and vent and things like that. So yeah, I definitely feel like there's certainly I mean, the study showed that, but there's certainly an economic and a social impact and a cost.
Yeah. So people out there thinking this doesn't pertain to me at all. Yeah, it does because it costs. So what
Yeah.
are the causes and the modern trends? So increased mobility. People move more often for work, school, or retirement, disrupting social networks. What we
Mhm.
were talking about earlier. You got to have your crew.
Yeah.
Did you get vent to, go to happy hour, do things with? There's also been a digital shift. More interactions happen online with less face-to-face contact, especially post-pandemic.
Yeah.
That is an issue with I seeing in Gen Z and later Gen Alpha.
Hmm.
I don't know what Gen Alpha is going to be like. These kids really don't be interacting a whole lot. I saw a statistic that young tenderonis are looking out. Young tenderonis are looking towards older men because younger men lack the interpersonal communicational skills that older men have
Yeah.
because older men such as myself, but I'm not messing with no young tenderonis. Older men such as myself, because we grew up without texting,
Yeah.
having a call on the phone. And Mac, speak to Miss Pearl before
Hmm.
I could speak to Lisa. How you doing,
Hmm.
Miss Pearl? How you doing today? Yeah, no, mom is doing good. Dad is doing good. Yeah,
Hmm.
okay. Junebug is doing that. Okay, is Lisa around? Yes, ma'am. I mean, they don't
Yeah.
know nothing about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, digital age is really affecting stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
social media. While it connects people virtually, it often reduces meaningful live interactions and increased feelings of inadequacy, especially among teens. The COVID-19 pandemic intensified isolation by cutting off in person support systems and routine. and routines. Younger people now spend 70% less time in face-to-face socialization with peers compared to 2 decades ago. That's exactly what I was just talking about.
Yeah, the pandemic certainly affected the youth population because it cut them off physically and socially from their peers in a time where that is literally the most important.
It literally, your whole world is what happens at school.
Yes. And so to be cut off, um, physically and socially from building and these connections, they definitely missed out on some pretty key development time.
So I was in a spirited debate with a person that said this was a
A fight,
consequence.
you could say a fight.
No, because I don't fight. You know me, I don't fight. I do spirited debates where I
Okay.
listen to the other side and I'd be like, well, that's dumb. Uh, it's honestly is what I do. I may
Yeah.
not say it out loud all the time, but it's definitely what I'm thinking the majority of the time.
Got it.
And, but the person had a very valid point because they were talking about essentially this thing that kids were absolutely affected from the lockdown. But their argument was that's why the lockdown didn't need to happen. And I was like, okay, it's not quite that simple. People were dying. And then their argument was, well, people die. And I was like, oh, that's pretty stupid. So
Yeah.
if there are fires that are raging all over a certain place, kind of like what's happening in California where this person is from, then we shouldn't try to help those people not burn up from the fires. Well, no,
Right.
that's not what I'm saying. I said, no, that's exactly what you're saying. There are going to be some consequences for the lockdown. And unfortunately, the kids were absolutely affected. I don't know what the long-term effects are going to be.
Yeah.
But there was a meme that was going around, and it was, remember in high school, maybe even in middle school, where you would have like science lab and they would have these big, long, like tables that you had to stand up, but they were
Mhm.
still tables that you did like labs on, and
Yeah.
it was big enough to fit like 6 to 8 people.
Yes.
And the meme said, this is where I've had some of the greatest conversation and met some of the funniest people. And then also the lunch table, like
Yeah.
those are really, really, you don't realize it at the time, really, really important for developing your communication skills.
Yeah.
And a lot of these kids don't have them. And even now that they're back in school, I don't know necessarily that they are doing that. I think that they still will get together in groups and get on their phone and start texting other folks instead of sitting around each other in a circle, just chopping it up like we used to back in the day.
Well, I mean, it's, you see it when you go out to any kind of like social event, right? Like you go to a concert and you look out and everybody's watching the concert through their phone as
Yeah.
they're recording it instead of like being there participating. Like, you know, I would meet people at concerts because you having a good time and the people around you in your section, y'all are partying. Like that's that kind of, even, superficial connection, it still enhances the experience. But now it's mostly people watching things through their phone as they're recording the thing. And it's more about showing that you were there as opposed to like being present
Mm-hmm.
in the moment. And I do notice that more and more people are less present in these like social moments than they were in the past.
I think I told you the story when I went to the Janet Jackson concert that at first I was doing exactly that because I was filming so much of it because there is a part of it that I want to capture, right? I was filming so much of it, I kept raising up my phone for each start of the new song. And then I was just like, why am I watching this through my phone? I'm here. I'm 7 rows away from Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I got enough stuff, memories on my
Yeah.
phone from this. Let me just be here and be present.
Yeah.
And I had a greater experience
Yeah.
just doing that. All right, but who is most at risk for this epidemic of loneliness? Well, older adults, 1 in 4 globally experience social isolation. Adolescents, 5 to 15% worldwide report loneliness. Single adults are nearly twice as likely to feel lonely weekly compared to married adults. This is 39 to 22%. So single adults compared to married adults, 39% feel loneliness, 22% of married adults feel loneliness, which is crazy to me
Yeah.
because you married.
But that's
You
but
married.
again, loneliness is not just the state of physically being alone.
Yeah, but I equate loneliness with I equate loneliness with not being able to connect with anybody, right? Like
Right. So
disconnect.
think about if you know you initially had that connection when you guys
Oh
first
yeah.
got together, but then now you have kids.
You
and
know
now,
what?
and somebody got promoted at work. So they're working more hours. And
Or you
now
leaning towards a divorce and you just don't know it because that's a
you're right.
lonely feeling. Boy, you feel absolutely alone.
A lot of us are, latchkey. So you got maybe a parent living with you now, or something like that. That you're taking care of an older parent. You get these life stressors, and you start to feel less and less connection to your partner. And there you go. Now you're feeling lonely.
Yep. That's what that song was. I'm so sick of feeling lonely.
Well, my man goes out with his homies. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Graphic disparities.
Nope. You got part of the word.
Geographic disparities. Geographic disparities. Just forgot that whole geo, huh?
Just left it right off.
Just left it right off. No reason.
No
reason.
Not it says a very different thing. Graphic disparities versus geographic disparities is two different things.
But the geographic disparities is graphic.
But graphic in terms of a graph. It's actually, the thing is actually describing the thing. It means in terms of a graph.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Geographic disparities, ladies and gentlemen. States in the deep South with higher poverty rates report the highest levels of extreme loneliness. Yeah, if you in the deep South and you poor, that's a double negative to me. Because I know we technically in the South right now. I'm
definitely in the South.
You in the deep South.
Yes.
Okay, this is what they're talking about. They say states in the deep South. You in the deep South. I'm in the South. I'm in the northernmost part of the South. They don't even call where I'm from really the South.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. But they're experiencing extreme loneliness. And where you live does matter. Because loneliness is a disconnect, is a feeling. If you don't got nothing good going on in your life, you're going to feel absolutely alone.
Yeah. And it's not just that. I mean, poverty and loneliness, I think, are extremely interconnected. Like I think about wanting to go to social events, but you ain't got the money to do it.
Can't do it.
You can't go out to eat. You can't go to a concert. You can't go to the club. You can't, and I mean, you don't have the, like, that financial aspect keeps you from these kinds of activities. Not only that, think about poverty and having a stable living condition.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If your housing is insecure, we constantly moving, you can't even make relationships with your neighbors.
Right.
Poverty, you don't have friends at work. Right? Like, if you're unemployed, you ain't even making work friends.
And what I've learned as an adult is a lot of adults, their form of communication and socialization is through work.
Yeah, you make a lot of your friends through work.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I would say that most of my friends are through work.
Yeah. And so if you are unemployed, or you have, like, which typically is like a low paying job, right? What are we talking about? We're talking about jobs with long hours, typically a lot of labor, right? Sometimes it's solitary work unless you work in customer service. But even then, you're not building meaningful connections in customer service, right? You're just answering questions, you're ringing people up. You're dealing with hundreds, sometimes thousands of people on your shift. You're not getting it's still very limited social engagement in workplaces like that. So I would say there's a lot of ways in which poverty definitely is tied to loneliness and vice versa.
So sick of being lonely. So what is the community and the societal impact? Once again, for those people out there that are saying, well, I don't feel lonely, this doesn't affect me. Let me point out again how it does affect you. Loneliness affects not just individuals, but also the health of neighborhoods, schools, and workplaces. Social connection is a fundamental human need. It's as vital as food, water, and shelter. Basically, we need social interaction, social connection, social communication.
Yeah.
We need it in order to survive. It's the reason why every time you see these movies of people trapped, Castaway, what's the movie where Matt Damon was on Mars for a long time? The Martian. The Martian.
I was about to say The Man on Mars, but The Martian.
Yeah, the Martian. The Martian. These people, Castaway, who was his best friend?
A damn volleyball, but it's a thing of Wilson was real, and to him because yes, because that kind of social interaction, like you said, is so important to our physical and mental health that he had to make that volleyball real in his mind, or he would go insane.
Yep. That's the reason why one of the most inhumane things that we do in prison is send people to the hole where they have no communication, no light.
No.
They're stuck in darkness for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month.
There's nothing rehabilitative about that.
No, we're not going to get into that because we know the prison system isn't rehabilitative at all. But the point I'm trying to make is loneliness is absolutely an epidemic. So the next time somebody says to you, I feel lonely, if they're your people, reach out to them. Even if you're busy, do something to connect with them. It could be something as simple as a FaceTime. And if you ain't got an Android, WhatsApp app does have video chat. And everybody can get
WhatsApp app.
Yeah, it's WhatsApp, but I call it WhatsApp app. I don't give a damn what nobody say. That makes more sense to me than WhatsApp. I mean, than WhatsApp. It is WhatsApp.
But the app is up. Like, it's WhatsApp. Like, what's up? WhatsApp. Like, the app is the up. That's the play on words.
No, I don't like that play. It's stupid.
Okay. Well, anyway, loneliness. When you recognize that you're in a state of loneliness, you have to get intentional about creating connections and building community. And like I know I have a tendency when I get down to isolate. So because I recognize that about myself, I will schedule check-ins with family or friends. I'll call, I'll video chat. I'll say, let's go out and do something, because the moments where I feel like I should isolate are those exact moments where I need to be building community and engaging with community. And it's like, and there are so many clubs, classes, community events, anything like
are free.
That are free. You got apps like Meetup, and Bumble actually has a friends like section where you can just meet people to make friends, because a lot of, like you said, a lot of people moving for work, traveling all over, doing different things. I know when I came down here, I was very lucky because our brother was down here, and I also had one friend that I knew from back home that was down here, so I was able to like build community around those two. But I'm sure it would have been incredibly difficult for me to come down here and not know anybody. So you got to get, be more mindful and intentional about building connections. And another thing that I do is I like to volunteer. You can always find volunteer opportunities in, local missions, shelters, things like that. There's the United Way will send you an email. They will send you an email, okay, bi-weekly, monthly, and let you know about volunteer opportunities in your area. That's another way to like not only foster connection, but also give you that sense of like community, but also like you're contributing something. Mm-hmm. It's like a sense of purpose, right? Yeah. So there are ways to do it to combat loneliness. And when you recognize that somebody around you, like if they start communicating, I just feel alone, I just feel isolated, I just feel some type of way, and that's your cue to start engaging with them and being really intentional about like actively listening, approaching them with compassion and empathy and grace and things like that.
Jay, a friend of mine sent me a reel that I saw this morning, and this is the reason why I want to talk about this subject. The friend is my age, literally my age, is a couple of months older than me. We're very similar in the ways that we grew up, just like all millennials are, right?
Yeah.
And it was saying the differences between millennials and Gen Z. Basically, like if you didn't have to ask your mom if you had to stay over somebody's house, if you got time out of instead of a beating, if you didn't have field day, something like field day,
Yeah.
then you can't say nothing to me. And it got me thinking, because I have such admiration for Gen Z, because they are far more emotionally intelligent at their ages compared to when we were their ages. Like it's
Yeah.
light years.
Yeah.
That I think they get a bad rep for being sensitive and soft. And I think that maybe we lack true empathy, and
Yes.
that generation actually has empathy. Like
Yes.
they normally get accused of being self-absorbed and self-centered, but it's actually our generation that is
That
absolutely
lacks boundaries. That's the difference. Our generation lacks boundaries. They're not being self-absorbed. They're not being self-centered. They have healthy boundaries that they don't allow people to cross. And if you do cross it, there is going to be some sort of repercussion. And a lot of y'all older folks out there just be letting people run roughshod all over you. And you be like, well, that's grandma, so she can say what she wants.
Right.
The hell she can.
Right. So this article is 12 phrases that trigger Gen Z, but older generations don't think twice about. And the story is by Radha Pereira.
Yeah,
That's as good. That's as close as I'm going to get.
I think Rita Pereira.
Yeah, well, that was said well more eloquently than I would. But this article explores the generational divide in language, highlighting 12 common phrases that older generations use without a second thought, but which Gen Z often finds offensive, invalidating, or dismissive. This disconnect is rooted in differences in values and communication styles and attitudes towards mental health, social justice, and technology. Gen Z's emphasis on empathy, inclusivity, and emotional intelligence means that they are more sensitive to language that feels dismissive or outdated, especially when it comes to social issues or personal experiences. So are we going to go through all 12 phrases? I don't know. Not phases. I said it right before we started this segment that I was going to stop saying phases and was going to say phrases. But ladies and gentlemen, if it's a day, that day I done messed up several words. All right, just messed up geographic.
You're human. You're a human being.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
So one of the phrases that Gen Z often gets annoyed by is "get over it."
Yeah.
It feels dismissive of mental health struggles and invalidates genuine concerns, especially for a generation that values emotional openness.
Yeah.
And I will say that I used to say, yeah, just get over it, because once again, I was emotionally ignorant.
Yeah.
And now I'm becoming emotionally intelligent and realizing that, look, just because I may think something is not a big deal, does that mean that that's the biggest deal of the person's world right now? Like when we were kids, we just touched on it in the last segment. What happened to us at school was our entire world.
Yeah.
We didn't realize that small window of 4 years in our high school, like half the time we wouldn't even remember whatever thing that was serious that happened that day. A year from then, much less 20 years from then.
Right.
But in that moment, that is the most important. It's
your whole world.
Right.
It's also incredibly dismissive. It's like when people tell you to calm down or relax. When has telling somebody to calm down or relax ever worked in the history of this world? get over it. Oh, you're right. I should just get over it. No, that's the dumbest and most dismissive thing that you could say. You can't just tell somebody to get over it. You don't think I thought of that?
You don't think I would if I could, but I
You don't
can't.
think I would if I could? Don't just dismiss my genuine like struggle. This is important to me. Do not dismiss it by telling me to get over it or calm down or relax. Oh, I should just relax. Oh, that's a great idea. I don't know why I haven't thought of that. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Please stop telling people that.
Well, here's another one that's going to piss you off. Don't be so dramatic. It's another phrase that pisses Gen Z off. It undermines emotional expression and reinforces the stigma around discussing feelings, which Gen Z actively works to dismantle.
Yes.
You know why? Because it's effing healthy.
Yes.
I said something on my episode that released on Tuesday, how there's this whole thing going around, could 100 men beat one gorilla? And the answer is no. The answer is yes, under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
But the answer is truly no, because the original question was, could 100 average men beat a gorilla? And the answer is no, because they're going to face fear. And a lot of times men don't want to address the fact that they're afraid.
Yeah.
Everything that pisses men off is because we are afraid.
Yeah.
And Gen Z is openly like, yo, we're going to dismantle that. So don't tell me that I'm being dramatic. Don't be dramatic. This is how I feel. I'm going to express the way I feel.
Exactly. I mean, it's very similar to tone policing. You know, if I'm upset, I'm going to express that upset. And that's going to come out the way that it's going to come out. Now, as long as I'm not a danger to myself or others, let me have my meltdown.
Right.
Let me have my meltdown so that I can get it out of my system, collect myself, and move forward. But don't tell me that I'm being dramatic, because this is something that is affecting me emotionally or mentally or physically, or something is going on that is eliciting this response. And to me, it's not dramatic. To me, it's important. And you should validate my feelings, not dismiss them.
Another phrase that pisses off Gen Z, if it doesn't affect you, another phrase that pisses off Gen Z, eventually I'm gonna get these right. It doesn't affect you, so why do you care so much? This ignores Gen Z's commitment to empathy and social activism, invalidating their drive to support causes beyond their immediate experience. Something like, I don't know, Black Lives Matter?
Yeah. So a lot of older generations, and I would say it starts to break up around like the millennial era, but certainly
younger millennials,
but certainly with Gen Z. But there's this very individualistic, the American dream that everybody is force-fed in this country that doesn't exist. The American dream is very individualistic. It is not supportive of community, it's supportive of capitalism. And so you're growing up in an environment of like everybody for themselves. And we lost that sense of community, right? Especially I think about in the Black community, where like the church used to be the center of our community. It was where, everything happened through the church. Any kind of social activism or political activism or food drives or anything, it happened through the church. And because we shifted focus to this more like individualistic view of like success, especially in this country, we move away from building community and caring about the people in our community, especially the most vulnerable among us.
So say it again. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's happening to me today. I felt good today.
Yeah.
Feel like in good spirits.
Yeah.
But I'm struggling a little bit. 2 phrases that piss Gen Z off, and we're going to do these back to back because I feel like they're connected. We've been through this before and back in my day.
Right.
They're both used to dismiss new perspectives or concerns by implying that older generations' experiences are more valid, which stifles productive dialogue. and compares current struggles to the past in a way that belittles the unique challenges Gen Z faces, particularly in the workforce. And yes, I even get it from boomers, right?
Yeah.
Back in my day, I would have
I,
had a house, a family, and all this. I was like, yeah,
I'm
for $12.99.
I'm gonna be honest. I am guilty of this as well. Like, especially in the current political landscape, right? You got all these memes of like, it's like this horrible political news, and black people just doing line dancing, right?
Right.
Because we like, hey, we've been through this before,
Uh-huh.
and we come out the other side, and we're gonna be fine again. But I even have to stop myself and be like, yeah, we have been through worse. Well, I don't know. It's
No,
all relative. It's all
yeah,
relative.
it's all relative. Yes.
But
Yes.
we have been through difficult times in this country. I
Mhm.
mean, this country has been at war with itself. Like this is
From
not.
its inception.
Yes. So I get how that can be invalidating for people who have not lived through that. Like, this is there. We've been through this before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
This
people
is there
really
back
need
in
to.
my day. And
Yeah.
we have to be more cognizant of the fact that this is what's going to be in their children's history books.
Yes. Yes. And that's a hard concept to visualize,
Mm-hmm.
because if you're a parent, an uncle, an aunt, a godfather, things of that nature, and you're trying to be upbeat and be like, yeah, we've been through this before, it's going to be all right. Because back in my day, this is the way we handle it. We ain't talking about back in the day.
Yeah.
Because back in the day is different than what it is right now. The younger generation is faced with certain circumstances and actions that I couldn't even fathom. And I don't have an answer on how to deal with it, because actually, I haven't been through it before.
Mm-hmm.
Not specifically what they're going through. It looks familiar,
Yeah.
but it's not the same. So you can't be so dismissive of another person's plight.
Yeah.
A couple more things that pisses off Gen Z. It's just the way things are. This signals resistance to change and innovation, clashing with Gen Z's desire to challenge the status quo and improve systems. And that's not a real job. Dismisses new career paths and the evolving job market, especially remote or digital work that is increasingly common among Gen Z. I personally had this with our father, who told me when I wanted to start to do something one time,
Mm-hmm.
I had an option to go to do something very similar that was a lot more sturdy
Mm-hmm.
and had a lot more notoriety and prestige surrounding it.
Okay.
They were both similar,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew my path fit me better, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to go that route. And our father cussed me 17 ways through Sunday.
Damn.
Said that I was dead wrong. I didn't know what I was talking about, and I was an idiot. 2 years later, he comes to me. He's like, I didn't see it. You were right. And not all people do that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not knocking my father. I'm actually giving him kudos, because he didn't see the vision, because that type of vision wasn't in his perspective coming up as a
Yeah.
career path.
Yeah.
But when I did it, he was adult enough, emotionally intelligent enough to be like, you know what? I was wrong. You did do this. This opens up new possibilities of things that I didn't even think were possible.
Yeah.
And so people are so stuck, especially really our generation and the generation Gen X and boomers, of this was a certain way.
Yeah.
I know it freaks boomers out when Gen X started this and millennials really carried it on. When we did not follow the career path that our bachelor's degree told us that we were supposed to follow.
Yeah.
The majority of people that are out there working, they are not doing anything associated with their bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
Not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, why'd you go to school? Because their career path was, you go to school for this degree, and that's what you do.
Yes.
We had a cousin that has a degree in biomechanical engineering. I don't even know what that is,
Mm-hmm.
but it is something
very extraordinary.
extraordinary.
Yeah.
Don't do that at all, but it's still very, very successful. So
Yeah.
these ideas of this is what I believe is the path. The world constantly evolves. You need to evolve with it.
Yeah, it was like I was telling somebody, obviously I'm in data science, and that includes AI, right? And there are a lot of people that are very concerned about AI taking jobs. Well, there's no more TV VCR repair.
No, there isn't.
You know what I'm saying? Because why? Because we moved on to new technologies, but that just the job market is just going to evolve along with the new technology. And then you have this very thriving gig economy in this country and globally, that a lot of I think older people is like, no, you need to go to an office, wear a suit and tie, no, I can actually be a courier and ride my bike and deliver packages
And make good money.
and make very good money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are different ways, different paths to success. And I think it's this older generation, and I'm not saying that, raging against the machine started with Gen X. They didn't carry it through. Millennials picked it up a little bit and was like, hey, we should put mental health in this. And then Gen Z took it and ran with it. But it's like the older generations of, this is how life is supposed to go, says society. And Gen Z is like, yeah, but are y'all happy? Are you fulfilled? Are you feeling purposeful? Like, how is your mental health? Are you burned out? Are you stressed out? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we should also be asking those questions and not just saying, society tells me that this is the way my life is supposed to go. I'm supposed to graduate high school, go to college, get married, buy a house, have a child, work until I can't anymore, and then retire, and then sit around and get on people's nerves, and then pass away, and that's it. And so it's well, but that is supposed to be the life plan, right? But how is that one life plan gonna work for the 7 billion people that are in this world? That doesn't make sense.
True. All right, we're just gonna finish up with 2 more phrases. And I feel like these are very, very important and hammer home why I believe Gen Z is right in all this. 2 phrases. The boys will be boys, and that's not very ladylike. Let's start with the boys will be boys. Go back and watch a movie that all millennials saw as kids or preteens. Back to the Future.
Yes.
Pay very close attention to Biff.
Yeah.
Biff was a psychopath sexual assault person. What do I mean by that? He tried to kill Marty McFly several times, and he has literally sexually assaulted Marty McFly's mother in the car.
Yeah.
Go back and watch that movie, and it's all under the guise of this comedy, Boys Will Be Boys.
Yeah.
That's the reason why there was a whole Me Too movement, because the expression boys will be boys was said for so long that men could just do whatever the hell they wanted and get away with it. And then finally women said, the hell they can. And this thing that's not very ladylike to who?
Right.
You? Your idea of what a lady is? Fact of the matter is, to me, many women would say Glorilla is not very ladylike. I think she's all the way a lady because she's a boss.
Yes.
She is a boss. She goes out there and gets her money. She employs people.
Yep.
She's an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And she is an artist.
Yeah.
She's a boss. That to me is very ladylike, because that's how I like my ladies. A little classy, a little assy. But that's just me. That's just me.
But it keeps us from like true self-expression. And it's like you said, boys will be boys. That just perpetuates not just these gender stereotypes, right? But it also is complicit in just gender violence.
Yes. If you don't explain to little boys why they should not be hitting, little girls shouldn't be hitting anybody unless you're defending yourself. then you're going to get grown men hitting wives, girlfriends, daughters.
I mean, and not only that, if you're not leading by example,
Mm,
if they
too.
come home and they see men beating on women,
Mhm.
then that becomes their reality.
Yeah.
And if those men are never being held accountable, not by the family, not by the community, not by anybody, then where is that line that says this is not acceptable behavior? They never learn it.
They never learn it. But, those are just a few of the phrases that Gen Z gets annoyed about. And you know what? I agree with them on every single one. We, as millennials, Gen X, and boomers, got some growing up to do. I know we feel like we're growing up. Just because we're older don't mean that we're growing up. We got some growing up to do. Jay, what do you want to tell the people out there?
Hey, yeah, check on your strong friends. Check on your strong friends. They might be feeling lonely. They might be feeling isolated, especially because if they're the ones that always take on the stuff and are always doing the things, and you never really see them relying on anybody, check on your strong friend, because that person might be feeling isolated, might be feeling socially isolated and alone.
I agree with everything that you just said. That does not pertain to me, ladies and gentlemen. Don't check on me. Leave me the hell alone. Y'all bothering me, asking me where are the YouTube exclusives, and I watch your podcast every day on TikTok. Idiots. Anyway.
No, solitude.
Yeah.
Like that, physically being alone is a lot of times a choice, and can be empowering.
Yeah.
But loneliness is not a choice.
Yeah, this is true. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for watching. And until next time, as always, I'll holla. All right, did you get a chance to look at the rundown?
Yeah, I glanced at it.
Why?
Loneliness.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I got a place that I want to take that. But I didn't even read, like I set it up so I know what it is, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even read through thoroughly the stuff in the third segment because I want to take that all in instantaneous.
Okay.
With you to really get our take as far as, things that Gen Z is like, don't say to me. Yeah, because somebody sent me something and I was just like, you know what? This is interesting. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to do the intro and the second intro and then get to it. Okay, yeah, turn on the lights and I'll glow.
Turn on the lights.
Nah, hold on, let me take a sip.
You'd be lonely if you're around here farting and thinking you have a heart attack. You're going to be lonely, I'll tell you that. Because what kind of fart did you need to fart? Did you feel it in your chest?
Well,
that don't even make sense.
You know how you can have heartburn? It'll cause heartburn can cause your stomach to be a little upset. So all this person needed to do was heartburn, basically, and their stomach was upset, and they just needed to rip one.
Or be alone.
Yeah, no, they was alone.
Yeah, they
you ready? Yeah, that was a good way to end the segment. I ain't need to add no more. All right. You can see your clock on the phone, on your computer, right?
Yes, 4:18.
Yeah. So it's 47 minutes. We've been filming for like 43. Mm-hmm. So we'll do like 15 minutes. I don't know if I'm gonna get through all 12 of these phrases, not phases. Mm-hmm. Damn it, bro. I don't know what's wrong with me. I be messing up words. That's the one thing that I know for sure in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna go a whole day without messing up some words. It's one thing I know for sure.
A word with three or more syllables. Hate to see you coming.
Shit. Sometimes it's one syllable. I can fuck up a word with one syllable. It don't take much, boy. Let me try to start talking too fast. I'm gonna say some words wrong.
Yeah.
All right, you ready? Good show.
Good show.
A little long, but it was a good show.
We had a lot of good stuff to talk about. So
yeah, I pulled that out of my ass today. I literally woke up this morning and threw my hands up in the air because I did my own show this week.
Yeah.
So that means I had to come up with topics when we filmed on Sunday for the YouTube exclusives. right? I had to come up with topics for my own show and carry that shit.
Yeah.
And then I had to come up with topics for this. And I was like, look, I searching the internet.
And I ain't got it. I'm going to be honest with you.
You ain't never got it.
I ain't never got it. I mean, if you like hit me up, you be like, hey, I don't have any show ideas. Then I'll start sending you memes of things that I find interesting.
Well, why don't you ever do that in the first place?
Because I was assuming you got show ideas. Well, sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll come across like an interesting topic or something. I'll send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll start trying to do that more. But I haven't been on social media.
Since
much.
the election.
Well, I haven't been on TikTok since the election. I'm on Instagram, but I'm like, I usually will maybe once a day, maybe check my DMs, make sure there's not anybody trying to reach me. If it's
that was a hell of a show. Thank you for rocking with us here on Unsolicited Perspectives with Bruce Anthony. Now, before you go, don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share our podcast wherever you're listening or watching it to it. Pass it along to your friends. If you enjoy it, that means the people that you rock with will enjoy it also. So share the wealth, share the knowledge, share the noise. And for all those people that say, well, I don't have a YouTube. If you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can actually watch our video podcasts and YouTube exclusive content. But the real party is on our Patreon page, After Hours Uncensored and Talking Straight-ish. After Hours Uncensored is another show with my sister. And once again, the key word there is uncensored. Those are exclusively on our Patreon page. Jump onto our website at unsolicitedperspectives.com for all things us. That's where you can get all of our audio, video, our blogs, and even buy our merch. And if you really feel generous and want to help us out, you can donate on our donations page. Donations go strictly to improving our software and hardware so we can keep giving you guys good content that you can clearly listen to and that you can clearly see. So any donation would be appreciative. Most importantly, I want to say thank you for listening and watching and supporting us. And I'll catch you next time. Audi 5000. Peace.